Hello devs, today I'm excited to share with you some of the best and most frequently used Visual Studio Code shortcut keys that I personally rely on during my programming sessions. In this video, I'll be walking you through a curated selection of VsCode shortcuts that have become indispensable in my coding journey. Whether you're a beginner looking to enhance your coding skills or an experienced developer seeking to optimize your workflow, these shortcuts are sure to make a significant impact. From navigating through your code base with ease to performing quick edits and debugging like a pro, we'll cover a range of shortcuts that cater to various aspects of coding in VS Code. I'll not only demonstrate how to use each shortcut, but also share some practical tips and insights on how to incorporate them into your routine so you can save time and make you a more efficient coder. By the end of this video, you'll have a valuable set of tools to enhance your coding experience. And without further ado, let's get started. Now, before we dive in, I want to mention that I'm using a Windows operating system, so I'll be referring to all the keyboard shortcuts for Windows, but don't worry, if you're on Mac OS or Linux, I'll also provide the corresponding keyboard shortcuts for you, as well as a link to the keyboard shortcuts for your operating system. Now, the first shortcut we will go over is to display all VS Code shortcuts. So if you wish to see all the shortcuts VS Code currently has, and in case I don't cover some in this video, you can simply use the shortcut Ctrl+K and Ctrl+S, like so. And then it will give us a neat list of all the VS Code shortcuts that we can use, in case you missed some or if you want to explore more and see what else you could possibly do. I would say I've used this a countless amount of times, and the neat part about using Ctrl X is that when you cut the line, it automatically copies that line, so you can readily pass that line elsewhere. So for example, take this line for example, we just do Ctrl X, which deletes the line completely. But say we want to move it below this use state, we could just do Ctrl V and you could see it had already copied it. Or we can do Ctrl X, go below this line again and do Ctrl V, and it's back the way it was. Probably one of the most loved shortcuts by all programmers is the notorious Ctrl+C and Ctrl+V to copy and paste lines quickly and easily. I absolutely had to include this one in the video because it's just so used and loved by everyone. So just Ctrl+C and Ctrl+V. Simple. Almost as popular as Ctrl+C and Ctrl+V is Ctrl+Z. This lets you undo actions whenever you make a mistake. So you can do this to make it seem like a mistake never happened. It's especially useful when you try to test fixes for bugs within your code. So for example, say we had totally, right? But then that's wrong. It should be set total. So we would just do Ctrl+Z and it would restore it back to the way we had it. An easy way to quickly move a line or multiple lines by highlighting them is Alt plus arrow up or using the arrow down key. Say you want to move a function or a heading above another element, well, this shortcut allows you to do just that with ease. So say we go to this line, we could hold the Alt key and then use the arrow down or up to bring it wherever we want within our code. What we can also do is highlight an area, hold Alt, and do arrow up and down to shift the whole highlighted area. This one is probably one of my favorites, and that is Control plus Enter. I found myself so many times needing to write more code between two other lines of code, and instead of going to the end of a line, like say you're over here and you have to manually click over here and click Enter just to go to the next line, instead you can just do Control Enter to easily start a new line. So for example, say we were writing a used context and we passed a 0 here, and instead of having to do this with the keys or click and then hit Enter, you can simply go in here and do Control Enter, and it will automatically start a new line below. I probably don't use this one as much, but it's just as useful if you build that muscle memory with it, and that is Control plus Shift plus Enter. It essentially does the same thing as the previous one, except it places the new line above the current line. So for example, if we go back to this 0, we can do Control, Shift, Enter, and it places a new line right above the current line. I think it's safe to say we have all had a time where we couldn't find that matching bracket within our code, especially if you have lots of nested brackets. Well, using Control plus Shift plus backslash will help you find that end bracket in your code when you need to quickly find where the code block ends. For example, take this show toast function. Say we are at this part here and we have this beginning bracket and we want to find the last bracket, the last matching bracket. So all we can do is just do Control, Shift, and backslash, and it would take us right to the matching bracket. This one is probably one of the best time savers as well. Using Control plus / toggles align comment. So you can quickly comment out code or create a new comment on a new line. So for example, say we want to comment out this line. We can just do Control / and it simply comments out that line. We can also do it again to uncomment that out. Or we can go to an empty line and create a new comment. So we can write a new comment here. This is almost the same as the previous one, but the difference is that this creates a block comment. So you don't need to be wasting time trying to type out a block comment. So a block comment spans multiple lines, whereas just doing a regular line comment is just for one line. So we can go here and do Shift Alt A, and you can see now we have a multi-line comment. So we can write more lines of comments. Now the only downside to this is that you can't use it on a line that you already have written. So instead it would just append it to the end of it. So we can do Shift Alt A on this line, And you can see it just appends it to the end of it. This shortcut is most useful for those files that have hundreds, if not thousands, of lines of code. Ctrl+G helps you quickly navigate to a specific line within your code. So for example, say we scroll down and we want to go to line 103 to get to this use effect. We can just do Ctrl+G and it'll give us a search bar to place in a number from 1 to 192. So we can say 103, and you can see it takes us right there. We can also say 192, and it takes us right to the end. Next is Ctrl+P. This shortcut is so useful when you have many files and need to quickly open up a file that's nested in folders within your project. So let's go through these folders and say we have this home.jsx file. So what we can do to quickly open that is just do Ctrl+P, and then we can search for home.jsx, and you can see we have it right here. We simply click on it or click enter, and we can see that it pops it up for us. Now, if you ever needed to find a specific word within your code, say you're trying to get all words of total, and you can use Ctrl+F to simply search for that specific word, and it will highlight everywhere it is written throughout your code. So say we need to find, like I said, total. We can simply just do Ctrl+F, and all we have to do is type total. And we can see now that everywhere throughout our code, total will be highlighted. We can also use this neat navigation button to click through all the instances of where it says total. Personally, I just recently found out about this one, and I wish I knew about it sooner. Ctrl+H lets you replace a specific word with another word throughout the whole code. So we can do Ctrl+H and say we want to replace that total with sum. And then all we have to do is hit enter, and we can see now everywhere where it said total was replaced with sum. This next shortcut is similar to the Ctrl+F shortcut that finds all words that are the same. The difference with Ctrl+D is that you have to highlight a word and then press Ctrl+D to also highlight the next word within your code that is the same as the highlighted word. So what we can do is we can highlight cart and then do Ctrl+D, and it will show us the next instance of cart. So we can just grab all of those that are cart. Say you need to write multiple lines of code, and they're all going to be the same text. Then using Alt+Click will help you do just that wherever you need to write those lines in your code. For example, say we need a bunch of divs, right? We need divs there, we we need divs here, here, and here. We can just hold Alt and click on each of those spots and then type in div. And now we have our text. You can see we can quickly place our tags and text in each of these spots throughout our code. If you do Control plus Shift plus L on a highlighted word, it will highlight all words that are the same as the highlighted word. This is very similar to the searching word shortcut, except that you just highlight a word in your code that you have already written. So for example, say we double click on item to highlight it, then we can do Control Shift plus Enter, and you can see now everywhere that we have item written is highlighted as well, and we can change that any way we want. Instead of writing item, we can do something, and now everywhere where item was is now written as something. Have you ever forgotten a tag name or a CSS property name? Well, in VS Code, you can use Control plus space to quickly show you recommendations for what it thinks you are trying to type. And you can quickly remember what it is you were trying to put there. So for example, say we have this CSS class called cart item, and we want to add a font size. Now you'll see I automatically have this here, but in case you don't, you can simply just do Control plus space, and it'll pop up a bunch of different things that it thinks you're trying to type. And we can see here we have our font size, so we can click and it'll give us options for what we could put there. So say we just put, say we put REM, so you can see, we can change this to 1 REM. Do you ever have a whole lot of tabs open after trying to solve a bug or after a long coding session? Then using Control plus W can help you with quickly closing out each of those tabs one by one instead of you having to manually go to each tab and click X on them. So for example, say we go here, say we're done with all these files, we can just do Control W again, and Control W again. You can see that quickly closes out all of our tabs. Similar to the previous shortcut, doing Control plus K and then Control plus W will simply close out all tabs instantly, so you don't have to spam Control plus W over and over, especially if you have a lot of tabs. Although if you wish to check a file has been saved before closing it, then using Control plus W might be a better approach. So let's try it. So we can do Control plus K and then Control plus W. And you can see that quickly closes out all of our tabs in one shot. Sometimes VS Code can feel a bit crowded, and using Control plus B can help with that. This will quickly toggle the sidebar so you can have a clean environment to write code on without seeing all those files on the side. So we can do Control B. You can see that simply closes out that sidebar, so we have a little bit more space, especially if you're on a smaller screen. Knowing this shortcut would definitely help you out. And we could also do Control B again to bring it back. And we could toggle it on and off. For those who can't see very well or feel that the letters are too big or too small, you can adjust the size of the text in VS Code by using Control plus equal sign to increase or minus to decrease. So let's try this. So we can do Control plus minus, and we can see all of the text has gotten smaller. And we could keep shrinking it as well. As well as doing equal sign, we can increase the size. Finally, another favorite shortcut I use quite often is Ctrl+J. This quickly toggles the terminal so that you can see when your server or client is running, or check for any bugs and easily have it appear and disappear from view of your code. You can do Ctrl+J and you can see that quickly pops up our terminal here. And we can also do Ctrl+J again to close it out. That's all for today, and until next time, thanks for watching. If you guys have any questions or concerns, please do leave them in the comments below, and I'll do my best to answer each and every one of them.